who was in the Adjutant General's department, and they made the assignments, and I knew him from the Boy Scouts in Columbus, Ohio. So I went to this guy whose name was Frank Buchanan and asked him if he could get my orders changed so I'd go to the Chemical Warfare Corps. So he changed my orders. And I've wondered since then what might have happened to me in the Army if I'd gone into the medical corps. My guess is I might have been a pharmacist in a hospital or something, but I don't know. So I went and took basic training in Chemical Warfare Service in Alabama. And at that time, the Army had a program called Army Specialized Training Program, ASTP. And they were training primarily engineers, but they were also training linguists, and they might have trained in some other specialties in very small numbers. And I was going to go into that program and learn how to become an electrical engineer, because I had had so much trouble with electricity and physics that I decided I'd let the Army pay to teach me about electric. So I was waiting at the University of Mississippi to actually go into an ASTP unit, and the Army decided they were going to have tremendous casualties in the invasion of Europe, and they couldn't afford to send all these able-bodied young men to school when they might be needed in the infantry. So about the beginning of March, maybe 500 to 1,000 of us at the University of Mississippi and at other universities all over the country ended up going to Army divisions. The ones who were in Mississippi ended up going to the 94th, because that's where the 94th was in training. And for the first 5 or 6 weeks, I was in an infantry company. And then I and some other people from all over the division were pulled out and sent to the artillery. And my case was because I'd had math through trig, and that's what you need to figure out where to aim the cannon to get the shells from. So I had a very good friend from basic training, but he was somewhere in some other infantry outfit. And we both ended up in the same battery, and this was sometime in April 1944. And so we got on-the-job training because neither of us had been trained for the artillery. I had our artillery ROTC at Ohio State, but we didn't get into that kind of practical stuff. So between the end of April and I guess when we shipped out for England in the end of July, I was supposed to have become trained to be an artillery. And I probably did learn most of what I need to know by that time, just because it's pretty simple. But you just had to figure out how to aim a gun. And then, so the division pulled out of Mississippi towards the end of June and went to port of embarkation. I forget which port we went to Europe out of New York, but I forget which camp we were in around here. So we got a ride over on the Queen Elizabeth because it was big, right? It's big enough to hold a division. In fact, it could hold more than a division because there were at least some nurses on ship, which I never saw, and there may have been other people, but it wasn't exactly a luxury liner under the Armies. They did what they called double loading. One night you slept in a cabin, and the next night you slept on deck. And if you got a cabin, there were probably 8 or 12 people, and 3 or 4 decker bunks. But it was a pretty quick trip, and I think we had air cover out of the United States until we got beyond the distance that the planes could support. And I guess they were watching for German subs, because that's the only thing that would have represented a threat. And then when we got maybe 1,000 miles off of the British Isles, we started seeing British planes. So they were picking up the protective services. But between wherever we left the planes and picked them up again, we were on our own, and apparently the ship kept kept changing course every few minutes, but it was so fast that it could outrun any German submarine, at least if it was underwater. So I think the feeling must have been it was reasonably safe. I suppose they had radar or sonar and other kinds of equipment that I don't know anything about, so they probably would have gotten some warning if there had been any subs near. Anyhow, it was very uneventful. Weather was nice, water was calm, and so like 5 days after New York, we were in Scotland. And then the division went down near Wales, because Bristol wasn't too far away. And we stayed there for 3 or 4 weeks, and they drew all the equipment they needed to be fully equipped during that month in England. And so mostly it was trucks. Well, in our case, it was the cannon and trucks, probably the kitchen equipment. When we went across, I'm almost positive that we had our rifles with us, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think the supply system was probably set up to provide the bigger items, and they figured the more personal stuff the soldiers could bring with them. So we were fully equipped by beginning of September, and the 8th or 9th of September, somewhere in that time, our battery, or maybe it was our whole battalion, drove down to one of the British ports, and we just drove onto an LST, landing ship tanker, and the whole battery, at least, if not more, was on that one ship, and it sailed over to France, and it landed at Utah Beach, and we drove off, and there was an awful lot of debris on that beach, the equipment all over the place, and only sections had been cleared, because when we drove off the beach, there were strips of tape, I don't know whether they were white or yellow, on both sides of the road, and that's as far as the mines had been removed in September. So we drove a couple of miles in, and I don't know exactly where we ended up, and we're in this big field, and we stayed there a day or two, probably while the whole division was getting over to France, and then we drove into Brittany. But even in this field that we were in, waiting, there probably had been some fighting there, because there was a lot of equipment lying on the ground, and the Germans used some kind of pointed sticks, which I suppose they pounded into the ground, I don't know, but they were against paratroopers, because a paratrooper would have made the mistake of landing on one of those sticks, he probably would have been impaled. So that was at least a German defensive device, and those things were still around. The German equipment, I remember picking up a German gas mask or something there, and I don't know what else. But
and now looking back on your time during the war and everything.
Not as bad as it seemed when I was there.
Right.
I don't know if that's the question you're. Actually, it's kind of funny. Even things that were really bad, I can look back on now and see the brighter side. And weren't all that bad. Mm-hmm. But I was pretty lucky, because life in the artillery is a couple of levels above life in the infantry. You know? If I had not been transferred out, I might or might not be here today.